art. So pull up a chair, get your art supplies out, and get ready for an entertaining show that'll keep you company while you work on your own personal art projects. This is Joshua Kemble's Art Stream. All right, welcome to my live stream. We're back. I'm going to be working on Not Death But Love, the strange supernatural story of Elizabeth Barrett Browning, a graphic novel that Lavender Vroman and myself are working on for Turner Publishing. I have a gap of about 30 pages that I need to kind of close and consolidate. So that's what I'm going to be working on today. But right now I'm going to be working on roughs for page 127. So what we're going to do is go through the script. It's a comic book script, and then kind of break it down, make a list basically of what I need to do for panels. And then from there, from the list, we'll do like a rough, and probably end the stream after that. I might play a little bit of a preview of an album that I've been working on. I've been working on I'm not working on, I released, but I haven't live streamed since releasing it. I've been on this total inspiration kick where I've been doing a lot of music in the last year. And I think in the last year, I've released 4 albums. So I have a new album that came out maybe a couple weeks ago called Written for the Dead. And so I'll be previewing and kind of talking about some of those songs while we work on art. So that's pretty much the plan. And then, again, I kind of have to knock out this rough. I have a busy day today. There's stuff I have to do for my teaching, where I have to kind of look for making a supply list and stuff like that. I have to do my workout, which I totally skipped yesterday, so it would be good to do. And then we have a Halloween party thing that we're going to go to around 5. So once I wrap doing this rough, we're probably going to be like cleaning out pumpkins so that we can carve pumpkins at said event. So pretty fun day. But anyhow, let's get into the art stuff, because that is what this stream is about. Let's go to this shot here. So what you're going to see here, I believe, if I did this correctly, it's been a while since I've live streamed, so I'm going to have to kind of figure out how this all works again. But I do want to get in the habit of doing these more consistently. And so that's something I'm going to do. Is like, as I'm working on these things, I like hanging out with you guys while I do. And it's been way too long since the last time I did it. So I'm going to try to get in the habit of kind of doing these consistently. So what I have here is the blank page. I copied it over from the odds page. I have like a template kind of preset with the guides for odd and even pages, or what they call like recto and verso pages in book design. And so what I usually do when I'm working on, particularly roughs for comics is I'll kind of take the rough and try to kind of have that working out in juxtaposition with the other rough. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take rough page 126 so that I have it in view. This is the previous page, and I like to have that rough open because that's going to help out a lot. I also have reference photos from the previous because they're at a specific picnicking location in Rome at this point. So Not Death But Love, the strange supernatural story for Elizabeth Barrett Browning, if you guys are just tuning in or watching this after the fact. I know this is kind of a random, spontaneous stream that I'm doing. So, but the point in this story, they had just traveled, Elizabeth Barrett Browning and Robert Browning, with Sophie Eckley and David Eckley, her husband, and then their kids have traveled to Rome so that Elizabeth, she has health issues, and so they kind of travel to different spots in the world to kind of try to be in areas where the air is clean, and she can kind of have her health recover. Um, but and a lot of people speculate that it was because she was pretty addicted to I'm blanking out, but basically like a drug that laudanum. Uh, Laudanum. So she was addicted to laudanum, and it caused all these health issues. A lot of people aren't sure whether it was her health issues that led to the laudanum addiction or the laudanum addiction that led to health issues. But point being, they're traveling around. At this point, they're in Rome, and Sophie Eckley, and uh, who is kind of trying to manipulate Elizabeth Barrett Browning through, her mentor, Mr. Home, who's like a seance guy. Um, is They're picnicking in Rome, and in our last page that I roughed out, basically Sophie and Elizabeth and their kids are playing out over by, like, they're kind of eating, having like a picnic at, like, near Roman Colosseum, which is in the background, and um, they're having a conversation with Wilson, her maid, who we've met, about getting like a something to write spirit drawings in, and so that's kind of where we're at. So I have to rough out this next page. The pages that we're going to be roughing out are right below me. I don't know if you'll be able to read it. But yeah, so I'm going to basically make a list. I'll start by making a list. I'm probably going to actually pull, let's go back to page 126. Let's go to the roughs of the 126. Rough page 126. And we'll kind of make that happen. So some of the interesting things that have happened lately, I've been getting into watching baseball, weirdly enough. My son and we scored tickets through my work for like an Angels game. A lot of people joke that they just give them out for free because it's the Angels. But it was such a fun game, and my son, I got to take him to his first like live baseball game, and feeling the rush of just kind of watching that live kind of brought back when I was my son's age, how fun it was to watch baseball. And so I've been kind of following the current season. Of course, being in LA County, I've been following the Dodgers. And what a cool time to get back into watching baseball as like a non-sports person, because it's probably some of the most legendary baseball that's happened in my lifetime. And so I've been watching the World Series because it's been fun to watch the Dodgers. I'm getting back into baseball, and suddenly they're like the best team ever. You have these killer players and stuff, and we actually made it to the World Series, which is really cool. So I've been watching those games. Last night's game was legendary, so that was fun. Okay, let's pull this out. Anyhow, so that's been fun to kind of experience. Why am I transferring over the rough here? Okay, we don't need that yet because we already have that transferred. What I do need to do is go on my other page and pull all my references for my picnics, which isn't a lot, but I have like references for the picnic area, like the picnic baskets, the location, and the writing folio that they're going to be pulling out to do spirit drawings in. And so I'm going to do that. Okay. And now we have our references pulled up, which is all I needed from that page. So I just wanted to transfer over those references so that if I need to look at them, I can. This is also going to give me ideas for like their clothing, because it's going to be a Victorian picnic. And then I might play some tracks from Written for the Dead that I recorded as well, and talk about those after kind of doing the list while we work on the roughs. So should be a fun little short stream, hopefully like about an hour or so. I'm hoping it doesn't take longer than that. But those of you who followed me on the stream before um, know that like quite often when I'm working on art, I'll be like, oh, this should be like an hour, and then it's like 4 hours later. You cue like the SpongeBob 4 hours later. But anyhow, okay, here we go. She pulls the leather case from the basket. Okay, so I actually showed this, but I think here I want to actually show a close up of the folio. It's like a leather bound, almost like folder that writers would kind of keep stuff in. So again, like I'll show you the previous rough at the and on the last, and keep in mind these are roughs, so like these are not final pages, right? This is all just kind of me working out the beats and stuff like that for the story. So on 126, the last panel was her saying, I have Mrs. Browning's, I accidentally wrote Mr., but it should say, I have Mrs. Browning's writing folio. And she's like reaching in the picnic basket, kind of pulling it out. But now I want to have a close up of the folio. And then possibly this could come or go on. Okay. Now we're going to have two. Sophie plucks a wildflower. Plucks wildflower. It's funny because, like, in scripts, like, this is a unique thing about comics. Like, so in scripts, you have something like a line that just says idly, Sophie plucks a wildflower and places it in Elizabeth's hair. So those two actions would be like 2 seconds in film. And you could just tell an actor like, hey, just pluck a wildflower and just like put it in her hair, and that would be no complication at all. But with comics, it's like now we have two actions going on in one short sentence, and generally we want to show all actions, because like again, if I have like a panel where Sophie is suddenly putting a flower in Elizabeth's hair, but I didn't show the previous action of her picking up the flower, it's going to look like a flower just appeared out of nowhere. So I need to have one where Sophie plucks a wildflower, and then 3. Again, this is the first thing on the list that I'm going to have to draw is questionable, and I might be able to not. Okay, so then we're going to have. So the next is going to be Sophie saying, I admire your fear. No. This is going to be Sophie putting flour in Elizabeth's hair. And maybe while she's saying that, Sophie can say, so Sophie's text, because in the script she's saying, I admire your fearlessness. So then 4 could be Elizabeth text. This is her saying, me fearless, and then Sophie's gonna say, in our spiritual experiments. 5 S text. Okay, and you know what? Actually, we're gonna scrap the close up of the folio because we already got the gist of the fact that there's a folio being grabbed, and I don't want to exceed 6 panels if I can avoid it. That's doable, but okay. So this will be Sophie saying, in our spiritual experiments. Actually, okay, I just realized what I did wrong here too. By the way, this part probably doesn't necessarily make sense to a lot of people if you're watching. But just trust me in the sense that making a list before doing your roughs is really smart to like break down a script, break down the sections of the script that you're working on, and kind of go from there to like basically not waste time drawing time, right? So for me, right now I'm trying to kind of break down the script. So for 5, for the 5th, so we're going to have Sophie's text, which is basically saying in our spiritual experiments. And now Elizabeth is gazing at her fondly. Gazing fondly. And actually, I'll have Elizabeth's text here, or dialogue, whatever you want to kind of put it as. So she's going to say, "I'm more afraid than you know. It is you who makes me brave." And then it says, disapprovingly, Wilson places the open folio in front of Sophie. So that'll be 6. So Wilson placing folio. I love it. Okay. So there we go. We've got our list. I'm going to call this list. And that's step 1 of our roughs here. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and turn off my my guides, because I don't need to see those till I do like the little blue lines that I have. I don't need to see those guides until we start getting to like actually drawing panel borders and stuff like that. And okay, so now what I'm going to do is work on Sophie plucks a wildflower, right? So that's basically where we'll start. And while I work on this rough, we'll go ahead and listen to a song from my new album, and I'll kind of go through it. So and maybe talk about like thoughts and stuff on it. So this song is called Walk Up the Mountain, and this is probably like the most kind of folky tune that's on here. This whole album, by the way, Written for the Dead, is under my name on Spotify, so definitely make sure you check it out. Oh, cool. We got some viewers joining us. I'll pay attention in 2 seconds. So let me get this song playing, and then start working on the rough.
Each breath of wind from my lungs is one breath less than where I started from. Each pump of blood from my heart is one pump less than it was at the start. Slow decay.
Okay.
Of entropy.
That's my picnic outfits there. And this song's kind of a Sisyphean song. It's about kind of pushing the proverbial boulder. Okay.
Gonna walk up the mountain and roll the boulder. Walk up the mountain till I get older. Walk up the mountain and roll the boulder.
Okay.
It's a finite.
So we're good to start sketching panel 1.
The seconds pass and turn to minutes. It turns into an hour. Each hour it turns into a day. Each day it turns into a week. Each week it turns into a month. Each month it turns into a year. That's one less year that I'll be here. And as these days all slip away, you're so much closer to the grave. Pushing boulders like a slave. It's a finite amount of time. The seconds pass and turn to minutes. It turns into an hour. Each hour it turns
Hi,
into
Philip.
a day. Each
Appreciate
day
that.
it turns into a week. Each week it turns into a month. Each month it turns into a year. That's one less year that I'll be here. And as these days all slip away, you're so much closer to the grave. Pushing boulders like a slave. Each step I take.
Okay, so I'm going to have Elizabeth here, but I need her to be a little smaller. This is me just blocking it out, and then this will be the thing. We already have the kids off in the background. I like that.
Slow decay. Of entropy.
All right, here we go. So we'll get into a little more detail on this.
Gonna walk up the mountain and roll the boulder. Walk up the mountain till I get older. Walk up the mountain and roll the boulder.
And again, we're just doing roughs, you know? Not thumbnails, but roughs.
Roll the boulder. Walk up the mountain till I get older. Walk up the mountain and roll the boulder.
What the heck? What was that? That's bizarre.
It's a finite amount of time.
Okay, let's try this again.
The seconds pass and turn to minutes. Minute turns into an hour. Each hour it turns into a day. Each day it
I shouldn't
turns
start
into
with her
a
eyes.
week.
Okay,
Each
here we
week
go.
it turns into a month. Each month it turns into a year. That's one less year that I'll be here. And as these days all slip away, you're so much closer to the grave. Pushing boulders like a slave. Gonna walk up the mountain and roll the boulder. Walk up the mountain till I get older.
And then she always has a rose, a white rose on her right side, so we'll just kind of imply that at this point.
Gonna walk up the mountain and roll the boulder. Walk up the mountain till I get older. Walk up the mountain and roll the
And then I know that the costume on the right is going to be her costume here, so cool. So that was Walk Up the Mountain. That's track 1 from the thing, from Written for the Dead, my album. Philip said, I can't hear you over the music. I'm sorry, Philip. I probably shouldn't be talking with the music going. And then RSC Art said, hey, just got here. Is this from your album? Yeah, that was a preview from Written for the Dead. I'm going to probably play through some of those songs while we work on roughs. For page 127 of Not Death But Love. RSC Art said, yeah, that Halloween Artcasters was fun. It was incredible, dude. Like the way that Scott was able to, I love every Artcasters, how Scott will be so in character and he doesn't break character for the entire episode. It's like, it's beyond my capacity to do that. Like I can play around and stuff like that, but it's part of why I could never really be an actor. Or anything like that. It's like, it's kind of incredible that he is able to do that as Stan Lee. I mean, I swear he was there were moments where I felt like we actually had Stan Lee on the show. So yeah, if you guys haven't checked out the Artcasters Halloween stream, I have an Artcasters playlist on YouTube, and so you can always check that out. It's one of my playlists on my page, and it has all Artcasters episodes in order, and that's a way to do it. Or you can check it out on, I think it was hosted on Scott's channel, so worth checking out. Scott Strickland and all that fun stuff. Dylan said, what do you mean, Scott? Well, that was Stan Lee. Yeah, 100%. I don't even know where Scott was. I have no idea why I was saying Scott. That's wild that I would even say that. So anyhow, we're going to keep just kind of roughing this out. Again, just kind of working out the beats of this story. That's the whole kind of purpose of a rough, right? And I've been trying to be a little looser with my roughs in the last few days, because it's just, well, the last few months actually, because it's just a rough. It doesn't need to be, perfection. I've been having a lot of fun teaching high school art. It's been really cool. So like this whole semester, I've been teaching Art 1 at a high school, and it's been really fun. and inspiring to kind of go through fundamentals with kids, where you're going over like, just like contour line and 1 point perspective and 2 point perspective. And we're going to be getting into value pretty soon, but it's been really inspiring and fun to see, what kids come up with and stuff. Dylan said, I loved your Wolverine costume. Thank you. I feel it's funny because I'm a bit of an extrovert, but I'm also a pretty shy person. So it's kind of weird. It's like, there's a part of me that really likes, talking to people and stuff like that. But, for me to rock a spandex costume is a little much for my non-exhibitiony self. And so it took a little bit of guts for me to just get over it and be like, you know what, I'm going as Wolverine, screw it. Because when I was a kid, I wouldn't bat an eye at dressing up like Wolverine if I had a rad costume. And now I have a rad costume, so I realized I just have to embrace, to be corny, the inner child, and rock that costume. And again, we're just kind of breaking out just roughs here. So I think Elizabeth needs to be a little further in the background because I established they're a little further apart. Right here, it looks like they're almost like sitting right next to each other. So I'll work on that. So this is just Sophie reaching for a flower. She's picking a flower. And we do have Wilson, so I need to kind of keep Wilson in frame. So we'll kind of do this. I'm being real wiggly and loose with this, but that's the fun of roughs. I'm going to have Wilson a little further, or Elizabeth a little further back. And then, again, the things I'm trying to work out are like beats and stuff like that. And I'm not particularly digging that expression. There we go. That's a little simpler because she just looked like really weird there. Okay, so she's sitting. They're gonna have their some picnic remains. Not a ton though, because Wilson was kind of in the process of cleaning up their picnicky stuff. So maybe they just have like a glass of wine or something like that. And then we'll have, this, and then we're gonna see just a little bit of Wilson pulling out the folio from the last panel. So this will be Wilson's right hand, I believe. And this is going to be her holding the folio just to kind of establish, we're still in this scene. And she's going to have her picnic basket here. We'll have the basket there. And then we'll have, oh man, my computer is not digging the live streaming and the brush. So this will just be like her basket, and she's going to be standing there. And then in the background, we'll kind of establish what we've already kind of established a little bit, which will be the kind of Colosseum type background. And the nice thing is I actually don't think I need much of the references other than the dresses, just to remind me to not default to the same clothes every page. I will tell you guys, like, I have about 119. And Dylan said, I had a feeling Corey was going to AI somehow. Some of those voices. Oh man. Corey got taken over by AI on our Halloween episode. It was wild. It was wildness. Philip also said he wants to do a Halloween stream, but he'll have to do a few days after Halloween. Nice. Yeah, Halloween's fun, man. We got a little Halloween shindig we're doing with a friend. So my kid gets to wear his costume. He's gotten really into Gravity Falls. And so he's going as the main kid from Gravity Falls. We got him a hat and, orange shirt and all that fun stuff. So he should be able to kind of make it work. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of shading just to kind of make this a little clearer what's going on. This is all kind of for my publisher and myself to just get a rough idea of like, what are the beats that are going to happen here? What are the beats? Now I want to make like a bad beatnik joke. Like, other than Allen Ginsberg, what are the beats that are going to happen here? Huh? I'm here all night, guys. All right. So I'm going to save that. We'll call that panel 1, roughed out. And let me see here. I do want to go back to my... list layer. And I'm going to go ahead and just cross that off. So we have that. Okay. And the nice thing is, again, like, this is just reference so that I don't, lose track of the previous page and the sequence. I think it's really smart as you're going to print out your comic pages so you can read them in sequence. I do that all the time. I can show you kind of a good example of that. So this is the book so far. And I have it all printed out, right? And then that way I can kind of feel the beats in the story and see how it's coming along, and if I want to, I can check out how the spreads are looking and working together, make sure the page turns are working well and stuff like that. We have a Gary Hodges in the chats who's starting his Dinosaurs versus Marsbots, his next one. Pretty excited about it. But anyhow, it's good to like print those out as you go and then like face them as they would be in your final spread, so you don't lose track. Because the thing about working sequentially, right, it's not just about making pretty pictures. It's about making pretty pictures that that actually work in sequence, right? And so a lot of that is a lot of the challenge with comics, and I think the addiction of comics, I wonder if Gary will agree with this, but a lot of the addiction and challenge of comics is that it's not just art, it's making it work in sequence, which is like a whole different thing. Okay, so we might play another song in a second. I'll try to do like a song a panel. How about that? I'm going to force you guys to listen to my music. So this is off of Written for the Dead, and this one's going to be A Long Road. This is kind of just a classic folk. Well, let's start this first. So this is going to be Sophie putting a flower in Elizabeth's hair, and then Sophie's going to be saying, "I admire your fearlessness." Okay, cool. So this song that I'm going to be playing, called "A Long Road," is basically like using an old folk trope. So there's a tradition in folk of like, "Where are you going to, my kid?" or "Where have you been?" Like Dylan used this. It goes back to Woody Guthrie, way before Woody Guthrie. It's just a rhyming. It's like a format to do a folk song where you can go, "Where have you been?" and then it could be, "Where have you been, whoever," like, right? And then it's a call and response. So it's like, "Where have you been?" And then the next verse will be like, "Here's where I've been." And then it's like, "Where are you going?" "Here's where you're going." So anyhow, I use that. And this song's just kind of about like the long road of life, like where you'll start, anybody who's who's young is usually an idealist, and they're going to start by kind of chasing a long, like going on a long road, chasing a thing that they think when they get that thing, they're going to have fulfillment, or they'll reach like the promised land, or they'll reach, some kind of catharsis and meaning and stuff like that. And as you get older and aged, you get a little more wisdom, which isn't necessarily better, but you get kind of a viewpoint of like that road being kind of a very long chase that may not actually lead anywhere. And some of that idealism goes away. So that's what this song's about. It's called A Long Road. Here it is.
somewhere I'll be accepted. I'm heading somewhere that's fair and free. I'm going somewhere without borders. I'm going somewhere where no one's bothering me. I'm going to a place with no hate, traveling to a completely new state. Find a place where I can change fate. Wouldn't that be great? And traveling a long road, my son. You're gonna be walking long after the day is done. Chasing the dying light of a sunset. Walking the footsteps that came before, and then came back filled with regret. Where are you going to, my dearest one? Where are you going after the setting sun? I'm heading somewhere I'll be happy. I'm heading somewhere that's built for me. I'm going somewhere without hatred. I'm going somewhere where we're wild and free. I'm going to a place with no hate, traveling to a completely new state. Find a place where I can change fate. Wouldn't that be great? Changing your window view. It can change you. You're traveling a long road, my son. You're gonna be walking long after the day is done. Chasing the dying light of a sunset. Walking the footsteps that came before, and then came back filled with regret. You're traveling a long road, my son. You're gonna be walking long after the day is done. Chasing the dying light of a sunset. Walking the footsteps
Okay, so that was Long Road off my album Written for the Dead. Dylan said, "Where you been? To the dumpster. Where are you going? To Taco Bell." Nice. I like it. But anyhow, it's that was a fun one. I actually feel like one of the things I like about this album and I'm really proud of is I think it just gets better as it gets further into the album. And I'm really happy with the songs, but they get a little more experimental and kind of more interesting to me as they go. So it's like they're kind of starting with some kind of folk tropes. Obviously, it's not like totally traditional folk, right? Because I'm not just doing guitar. Um, but I did set a few goals on this album too. I was like, how do I do songs with banjo, guitar, and do kind of a folky type thing, but not make it something that makes me want to off myself? Because like banjo rides that line, it rides that thin line between awesome and intolerable. And so I was like, how can I use this? Um, Dylan was saying, what inspired the folk aspect of some of these songs? Well, I'm a weird guy in the sense that, this is a cliche or whatever, but it's like, I like all music, uh, as long as it's good, which is a kind of weird way to say, but I do think, um, folk is like one of my favorite kinds of music. And I just love it. I love like the kind of mellow acoustic vibes of songs and stuff like that. So, um, I think that inspired it. Is I love Elliott Smith. I love Simon and Garfunkel. I like a lot of these folky type things, which is weird because it's like this very strange juxtaposition between that kind of music, um, and like just total thrashy hardcore. It's very strange. I have a strange taste in music, but I even like Bright Eyes and like Conor Oberst and stuff. Which actually his latest album was like a return to form, I think. So, yeah. So I have that side of me, and then I have the side of me that's like really into punk and stuff like that. So, um, but it's also just one of those things of the banjo just sounded like fun to mix in. And I think that music and comics have a lot in common in the sense that, like, and I think Gary could chime in on this if he's still there, but it's like, the, the freedom of limitations in art is really huge. Like, I think that if you don't have limits, like if you have a blank page or a blank canvas and you don't give yourself limits, or structure, as a cartoonist, like you're limited to tools. Like, okay, this comic's going to be done with these specific tools, or this world is going to be built with these uh, specific rules to like how the world works. Right? This world's going to exist in modern physics, or this is going to be like a squash and stretch world where characters can, expand and wiggle and whatever it is. It's like you want to set those parameters. Like this is mostly going to be 9-panel grids, or this is mostly going to be 6-panel grids, or um, whatever that underlying structure is. Like I'm going to limit myself to these 2 fonts or these 3 fonts. Those are like fundamental to graphic design and to illustration and to comics. I think to be able to have creative freedom. Um, actually, sports are a really good example of this. To be able to play a good game, you kind of have to have rules to the game. Like if there's no rules to the game, and you'll see this with little kids, right? Like where little kids will think it'll be fun to play a game with no rules. It's a very common thing because every kid wants to rig a game. Naturally, like pretty little, and we're talking like very little kids, but a lot of kids naturally want to rig a game so that they always win, right? It's something as a parent you have to kind of teach your kids not to do because no one wants to play with you, right? If you do that. But it's one of those things of also you'll see kids on a playground, who'll like make a game with no boundaries. Like they'll be like, okay, we're gonna play cops and robbers or whatever, and then they're like, oh, I got a force field, I've got a force field, I've got a magic force field, and eventually, like within about 5 minutes, those kids get like super bored because they haven't given themselves any limitations, and so weirdly enough, like without limitations, creativity is, I think, stifled. And so one of the reasons, when I do like an album or something like that, I try to set some limits on what instruments I can use, how many tracks I can do, or like theme, some kind of like guardrails. Um, so that I can be free within it, right? And then occasionally I'll break the rules, because it's like, that's the fun part about creative work is you make your own rules, like your own limitations, and then you can break them at any time you so please. But generally, like at least that puts you in a spot where if you break your limitations, that your self-imposed limitations, you know fully well why you're breaking them, right? Um, so she's still holding the folio here, and she's gonna have the basket down now so that we can kind of almost get that action of, because she's going to have to put the picnic basket down to kind of make the next panel work. So this is going to be Wilson. So anyhow, I feel like those limitations really free you up. And for this album in particular, like, I liked the limit of having, where I was like, I have to have banjo on every song. And there were a couple songs where I was like, I don't know if I want banjo on this, but then I'd like track it and it was like, no, I'm glad I have like banjo, acoustic, and bass and drums. Like that's pretty much my limit. What else do we have here? And that allowed me to get more experimental with other things. Like as I play more, you're going to see I started messing with more and more kind of offbeat or interesting rhythms. Just to kind of get a little more tempo or mood to the thing. And so we'll get into that in a second as we get into, finishing up this rough. Because again, I'm going to just probably play a little bit while I work on a rough and so on. So that's way too big, but that's okay. Okay. I'm going to have, and then we need the picnic table here. Okay, cool. Her head uniquely shrunk. We've been in a pretty like wild crunch time here too. Like between, me starting kind of a relatively new career for me. And then my wife has been doing just like tons of crazy kids books. Like, I mean like a ridiculous amount, like where I feel like every day she's got 4 kids books she has to finish. And then by the time she's done with like one of them, there's like another kids book. So it's like 4, it's just like the perpetual 4 kids books that she's always working on. Because it's like then by the time she's finished with one, like another one comes along, or it's like the person liked her work and wants to add like 50 more pages. So she's been like really busy doing that and, doing mom stuff. And I've been like trying to get this comic done on top of kind of like taking on a new career. So we've been just like in very much like survival, just kind of get the next thing done mode. But it's been pretty fun. There's a lot of interesting stuff happening in chat. So let me move my list down so that we can start getting into the next one. We have 2 panels down, so I'm going to cross that off. I also do this X by the list because when you're working on art, it's really easy to feel like you're not making progress. So to me, I get fulfillment out of like checking off a list. Okay. Okay, Gary was saying, yeah, I think there's something to having inerrant limits. I think one of the reasons I love pixel art, for example, is the strict limits you have to work within. Yep. Dylan said, I've been into modern 80s synth type stuff, like Night Call by Kavinsky, After Dark by Mr. Kitty, and 0% Angel. I don't know any of those. I need to actually check those out. He said, I'm not sure what that genre is called, but it's what came to mind. Nice. And he said, no, no spoons. I think it would be fun to do a Spoon Man type thing. That'd be fun. RSC said, have you listened to Dance with the Dead, Dylan? Nice. That's awesome. That sounds fun. All right. Guys, I'm going to put on a trailer real quick because we've been at it for about an hour, and then I will be shortly back. I will tell you guys by the trailer that I'm going to play here is by a brilliant animator named Jim Lujan, and the full movie, you can check out by joining his Patreon, and I recommend you guys do. I do a voice in it. Gary does a voice in it. Scott does a voice in it. Corey does a voice in it. It's one of Jim Lujan's best works, and I recommend go to his Patreon, kick him $1 or $2 a month, and go check out that amazing movie. I will be right back. Here's Home Shopping Kemble.
Well, thank you, Colleen. I hope your daughter Kelly does well at North Carolina State this year. Well, we got another caller on the line. Elizabeth from Phoenix, Arizona. Elizabeth, what can we do for you? Are you ready to do some shopping, girl?
Oh, yes, Terry. I am ready to do some shopping today. I'm interested in that 2-book set you have. 2 Stories and Jacob's Apartment.
Oh, well, that's a great choice.
In fact, I bought these books before. I gave a set to my grandson, Hunter. These books are amazing.
Well, they sure are, and if you buy both of them, you really get the whole feel of the whole Joshua Kemble universe. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do, Terry. These books are remarkable because, for one, you can take them anywhere. You could put them in your car, and you can go to the park or the river. We've gone to the river. My husband Taylor and I, we just love it. And I murdered my husband at the river. Yeah, I did. But these still are amazing books.
Hey, we're back. That's one of my favorites by Mr. Lujan. So, yeah, Home Shopping Kemble. Okay, so let's listen to the next. Well, let's work out what we're gonna do for our next rough, and then I'll play you a little more from my album. And hopefully, my internet connection's okay because it does seem like it's having some lags. So we'll see. All right, so let's do this next one. I just realized I didn't have my other camera. I usually have 2 cameras going, and I am surprised by that. So let me see if I can get that up. So usually there's a camera of, let's see here, should be, is this covering it? This is really interesting. Very, very fascinating here. Okay. Is it not reading it? Okay, well, apparently my hand cam, I usually have a camera that shows like me drawing, but apparently that's not working. So I'll have to look into that off stream at some point. Okay, so let's do our next part on the list. So this is going to be Elizabeth's text. Elizabeth is going to say, "Me fearless." So this will be kind of a reaction shot. And while I'm doing that, let's play the third song, which is "Painted Flowers in the Back of the Room." This is a more kind of Elliott Smithy type vibe song. That's a official. I'm not telling you to type it. I'm saying it's that type of vibe. Although you could type vibe song in the chats if you so feel inclined. I think this is it. We'll see if I got the right one. Okay, here it is. Nope. Wrong, track 3. Did that one not upload? Maybe I have to upload that one. It looks like it didn't actually make the uploads. Oh my goodness, guys. I thought I was all prepped. I thought I was all ready. Come back. That's a dog. That's our dog. He's telling you. He's telling you guys that he's there. He's like, I am here and I am ready to rock and roll. Okay, let's try this now. See if I can get this one uploaded. Will it work? Yes. Okay, it's uploading. And then once that's uploaded, I'll press play on it, and we'll see if it's the right one. I believe it is. Okay, so here is painted flowers in the back of the room, and this is kind of just about art being often the best art goes unseen. And it's not about my own art. It's just about art in general. Like, I've known so many people who are super talented, and their stuff kind of goes unsung. So that's what this one's about. Let's see if this will work. Here we go. Wait a second. This is a different song, but did I just get the order wrong? Oh, this is okay. This is actually my favorite song I got the order wrong, guys. This is my favorite song that I recorded for the album. So this song is about losing somebody. It's a very personal song. This is actually, I Watched My Dad Die, which was one of the hardest things, that I went through in my 20s. And so this is like kind of about observing somebody as they go and questioning like whether, if you've ever lost somebody in a hospital, it's pretty rough. And it's literally about like looking at them and wondering, are they trying to like speak to me? Are they trying to reach out to something in the unknown? Like, who are they seeing at this point? Are they in pain? Are they, seeing something like beyond, like, and so it's kind of about that sort of moment. So let's get back into this song. This is probably my favorite song that I recorded for this album, Written for the Dead.
Was that a breath of
Okay, so that was Who Do You See Now? Sorry, that's kind of a heavy one, but still, I want to talk a little bit about like what the songs are about and stuff like that. So that's kind of about, hoping and believing that, the person giving their last breath is going to the undiscovered country. So that was a song, a very meaningful song, I think, for me, on Written for the Dead. So now we'll get to Painted Flowers Bloom in the Back of the Room, which is this is a kind of like the Art Goes Unseen song that I was talking about before. So we're also going to be roughing Sophie saying in our spiritual experiments. So that's basically the next thing we're going to rough out. All right, here it is.
Tints and colors added after to the stills. loss to comprehend. The painted flowers bloom in the back of the room.
All right, so that was the Painted Flowers Bloom in the Back of the Room, which is a really weird title. The way I've been doing like a lot of these albums too is like I'm very much I'm working on a collaboration with my buddy too for No Saboteurs, so we're working on a new album currently, and we actually had our drummer drive up from close to San Diego. They live like kind of close to San Diego, and track 11 songs like matching drum tracks to the music that we've been doing. So like my friend who's also named Josh and I are working on one of those. But and we started kind of doing this, and I've been doing this on my solo stuff too, where it's like a yes ending process, like trying to almost treat it like improv, where you just like there's no stupid ideas, you just kind of go with the flow on whatever kind of comes. And I've been doing that on this, so like even that track title and stuff. It's like very much just kind of what the inspiration leads to, and just kind of going with it, uh, and seeing where it ends up. And it's actually ended up pretty cool. Like, it's ended up with some results that I wouldn't have expected, or some directions that I wouldn't have expected. Like the album even before this one was, called Modern Monsters, and just ended up being a monster theme. And it became a monster theme because I felt like writing some songs about monsters, and I was like, okay, let's do it. So that's been really fun. All right, so we are doing our roughs for page 127, if you're kind of tuning in, of Not Death But Love, the Strange Supernatural Story of Elizabeth Barrett Browning, which is my book for Turner Publishing. And in these roughs, all I'm trying to do is kind of block out like the actions that are going to happen, have a rough idea of like what the lighting's going to be, and then hopefully, kind of give my publisher a more kind of solid picture of what the final page will look like, without obviously going into like the extraneous detail that I'm going to put into a final page. But this kind of helps them visualize. It helps us do revisions before, there's been like 16 hours or something invested in a page. It's better if it's like an hour or so invested in a page to make a quick change that might take like 10, 15 minutes as opposed to like hours. So that's the thinking behind, why you'd want to do roughs. Also, for the artist, doing roughs really helps because it eliminates like, bad decisions. Like if I make a bad decision on a panel here with the way it's framed or something like that, I can always adjust that in real time very quickly. And it also helps me work out where I'm going. So, okay, so there we go. We got panel 4 done. Oh my goodness. My computer is not happy, guys. It's like, it's just doing the pinwheely business and kind of freezing and being weird. So hopefully, I'm able to have this not get weird before. Like, what happened there? Why is this off the page? I didn't scoot it that way. Okay, so hopefully I'll be able to. Yes, there we go. Okay. So I'm actually pretty happy with how this is coming out. So what I'm going to do now is just move the rough up a little bit. That way I can kind of keep my references below, and we can do those last pages. And then what I'll do probably, Dylan was saying, did you hear a kid's toy in the background? Yeah, there's a lot of like kid sounds in the background of a lot of the a lot of the tracks I recorded, and I actually kind of liked them. They sound pretty awesome. So, because a lot of these were recorded while Ben was around, but I actually liked the ambience of that. So what we've got is Light Coat in a Hurricane. This song is pretty much about fake optimism. And while we do that, we're going to do a rough that's going to be Elizabeth gazing fondly at Sophie, and she's going to be saying, "I'm more afraid than you know. It's you who makes me brave." So we'll work on that while I play you guys the Light Coat in a Hurricane, which is kind of roughly, I think, about trying to kind of recast yourself to like, kind of reinvent yourself, and also dealing with false optimism. And I think that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, track 5 on Written for the Dead. So if you like these, feel free to stream that album, Written for the Dead by Joshua Kemble, on Spotify, or purchase it on Apple Music. All right, here it is. That was the wrong track again. Oh my goodness. I'm thinking some of these tracks just didn't upload or something. Okay, let's get track 5. I'll get it added. Okay, track 5. You're going up there because that was actually off of Modern Monsters. That was a different track 5. This is the track 5 we should be uploading here. So I'll play it once it gets uploaded, and we'll just start our rough here. So panel 5. How are you guys doing, by the way, this Saturday? I hope you're doing well. I hope you guys are having a creative one. You guys aren't able to see the pinwheel that is currently spinning on my screen. Fun times. So I'd like to get... Okay, there we go. Now we can get moving. Let's get... So Elizabeth is staring at her fondly. So I think another side shot would be good for this. And now I can play track 5. So here's Light Coat in a Hurricane. In theory.
It's the same, and nobody knows your name. It's enough to make you insane. The problems you can't maintain by keeping dry in the rain. The light coat in a hurricane, a patter of constant pain, tapping against my brain. Where were you when I needed you most? The storms that hit the Pacific coast, they bury on a plane to where nobody knows my name, and I've got nobody left to blame. Trying to wash the stain, and no matter what it remains, and I'd like to think I could change. A light coat in a hurricane. Where were you when I needed you most? The storms that hit the Pacific coast fill the rivers to overflow, flood waters tipping over boats, cascading waters drown our hopes. Cities underwater, see what floats. They bury, they bury, they bury, they bury.
Okay, so that was Light Coat in a Hurricane off of my album Written for the Dead. And we're working on panel 5 of the rough for page 127, which puts us like about a panel or so away from really finishing these roughs, which is awesome. So luckily, this page was not like wildly complicated. There was a really insane scene that I just got through illustrating, which was like a fight, uh, like a kind of standoff with like these people who were the drivers, the cattle drivers that were kind of leading them, the oxen that were pulling um, their carriage to get to Rome. And there's like a big standoff with two of the oxen drivers end up kind of going at it, and Robert breaks it up very bravely. And then this is kind of in the aftermath of that. Now they're kind of in Rome and relaxing and stuff like that. But that was a pretty hard scene to kind of work out. It makes me respect people who do a lot more action oriented comics. Like, it is really hard to do action, because there's so many moving components, and like, especially action where you're not writing the script yourself, because you're going off of actions that are described, and again, things that are in text can sound like really simple, and then it's like, wait a minute, that can't happen if this guy's standing on this side. Like, how is he going to punch this guy or whatever? It makes me really admire people who do action comics, action-based comics for sequence, because it can be really complicated. But also, it made me envious a little bit of people who do that, because there's a lot of cheats that you can do with action that's harder to pull off with dialogue sequences. And the nice thing about action too is it's a little easier to make your page interesting, because it inherently is very action packed, so it's very exciting. Whereas like trying to make a conversation scene have enough like dynamism and interest it can be a bit of a challenge. Anyhow, I'm rambling. We are getting through this page pretty soon, and I'm pretty excited because my wife very sweetly made me a sandwich, and so it's sitting in the kitchen taunting me to finish and get this wrapped up so we can clean pumpkins, and I can make a list of items we have to get for my classroom for next year. There's a lot of things on the dock that I have to get done, but this is number one. I will probably be streaming again maybe tonight, because I have to be. I'm in crunch time on this book, so I'm hoping to kind of do streams more often. As I'm working, because I missed you guys. I miss hanging out with the Kemble crew, the Kremlin. And it's always fun to kind of just like get feedback and stuff while working on these weird things that we all love so much. Okay, so this is going to be them almost establishing. We're almost at the spirit drawing part. There's going to be like a bottle here again, wine glass. These don't have to be perfect drawings. We're just kind of blocking out the scene. I wish my computer wasn't so flippin' glitchy right now. All right. And then I need... Wilson's going to be doing something important in this next panel. So right here, I'm going to actually have her... I'm going to line her up for that action on the next. Dylan said the Kemblin crew. I like that. Yeah. The Kremlin. We're a growing internet force. So my plan is, I'll probably play you guys maybe one or two more songs from the album while I work on the last panel. And then I'm going to eat food. And that's going to be amazing. She's going to be kind of starting to put the folio there. Okay. And then again, we're going to have that vista. And then we'll add some detail to it. Again, roughs are beautiful because you don't need them to be perfection. You just need them to kind of tell you what's going to happen next. Wow, I didn't want to open actions there. Okay. Glitchy McGlitch Pants is the name of this this program I'm using. Okay. Now we're just going to add shading. I would like to add shading. I don't know why this is. I don't know if anyone else has been having trouble with this, but on Photoshop, like, you used to be able to just hit B for brush and it would just go directly to your brush. For some reason, when I hit B, it'll like toggle from the move to B and it'll just bounce right back, even though I hit B to go to brush. And I don't know when. I feel like that happened about a year ago when Photoshop updated, and I'm like, that's annoying because like the whole beauty of shortcuts is they're shortcuts, and when it starts glitching like that, it makes me have to go and like manually pick the tool, which, you know, slows the process down substantially. I don't know if you guys have experienced that, but okay, it is really weird. Here, we'll see if this works. I'm gonna go back to this and then I'll hit B. See, if I hit B, if you see, like, if you can see that, like, up there, it's gonna like go blop blop the selection. If I go B, and like it's forcing me to manually select it. It's very annoying. Anyhow, whatever. Okay, so okay, let me save, and then we'll look at the rough list, my list of things. We're very close to done. Because basically what I need to do is we're going to make our list of things. Dylan said, I'm too poor to afford Adobe, but I'm glad I don't use them because of AI and such. Yeah, the AI thing is a nightmare. But luckily, I still love Photoshop. I still love the programs, and I feel like actually, for comparatively, they're not the worst player in the AI apocalypse. But who knows? Okay, let's load up our next song. Let me see if I have it. So we played Light Coat in a Hurricane. We could play Making Noise Without a Sound. If I have it loaded, that would be track 6. And I don't think that one added either. So I will try to add that here. This one's a fun one. This one's like more of a standard rock song, although we'll just kind of have to see as that went. Okay, let's see if this will work. Adding it up here just to get it ready for you guys. Okay, and then our last panel is going to be Wilson giving her the portfolio. And then all I have to do after that is like clean up the panel borders a little bit, just so it doesn't look too chaotic. And then from there, we should be able to work. So I think this is it. I think this is Making Noise Without a Sound.
Who are you pretending to be? Somebody cool you saw in a magazine. You're acting like you're in a scene of a motion picture or a dream. Your clothes are so pristine. You're always making a scene. Making noise without a sound. Making noise without a sound. Making noise without a sound. And no one's around. What are you pretending to do? Something you saw that you thought was cool. Who do you think you're gonna fool? Not anybody that's from the old school. Your clothes are so pristine. You're always making a scene. Making noise without a sound. Making noise without a sound. Making noise without a sound. And no one's around. Making noise without a sound. 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 And no one's around.
All right, so that was Making Noise Without a Sound. I think this next song might be my second favorite of the ones I recorded. By the way, I was trying to kind of work out how to show Wilson dropping the folio off. And I think I worked it out with a little stick figure, so that's good. Let me make sure I'm paying attention to comments, too. It looks like there were some comments. And then we'll get back into it. Dylan said, I finally won the 150cc All Cup Tour in Mario Kart Double Dash on GameCube. Nice. Nicely done. And then he said, the last try, my TV remote turned off the TV, which changed the tide of the game for me. Then the GameCube malfunctioned where I had to retry it. Oh, no. That's awful. Oh, that can be rough. That sounds extremely frustrating. I've had that happen, because I play games of Risk, the game Risk on my phone every once in a while. And the worst is, I had one where I was playing a master or grandmaster, I think, and I was beating him. And I was like, yes, this is going to give me all the points to get to where I need to go. And then my phone ran out of batteries. And then by the time my phone was like recharged, it's like I was getting smoked. And I'm like, no, like that is always really frustrating where you're like, but I was doing okay. Yeah. Anyhow, I'm trying to delete some stuff to make some space here because I'm realizing that's what was happening there. I had too many things loaded up. Okay, let's play you one more song. This one is actually what the album's named after. And everyone I've played this this album to has pretty much said this is like their favorite track. Like pretty much almost everyone I know that I've played it to was like, this is cool. It's a weird song. It's about somebody who steals flowers from a cemetery and writes a love letter in Sanskrit. And drops it off for a woman they're absolutely in love with. The woman gets the flowers, kind of finds the Sanskrit, can't read it, and so they throw it away, and it goes in a junk pile. The trash is taken out, basically brought to a junk pile, and then a bird comes across the Sanskrit love letter, and the bird happens to read Sanskrit, and so the bird reads this beautiful love poem and searches for the rest of its life in vain to find the writer of this love letter. So it's a weird song, but here it is.
Bouquet of yellow roses stolen from a graveyard, left for someone long past, regifted to your doorstep, along with a love letter written in Sanskrit, translated to all the things that you want to hear. Confused by the note, you throw it in the trash that's picked up every day at 2. Mechanical arms lift and drop it into the truck bed, soon to be sorted and sifted in a junk pile. What's intended to be read is often written for the dead, only then to be fed to the incinerator. Hunting graveyards, looking for the best bouquet, then spending hours to write in Sanskrit. What's intended to be read is often written for the dead, only then to be fed to the incinerator. A flock of pigeons fill the sky above the massive rubbish landfill. A single pigeon soars among the rubble and then stumbles on the letter written in his native tongue. The bird is moved to tears. It had taken so many years for it to find the love it had searched for. At long last it found a letter speaking to its inner soul. The bird took flight. It searched in vain to find the writer. What's intended to be read is often written for the dead, only then to be fed to the incinerator. What's intended to be read is often king for the best bouquet, only then to be fed to the incinerator. Sanskrit. What's intended to be read is often written for the
So Dylan was asking what was the inspiration for that song. So the main inspiration with that was actually just the improv thing, where initially I just thought it would be interesting to write a song about somebody stealing flowers from a graveyard to give to somebody they liked. I just thought, what a cheap move, you know? like like you know, for somebody to like hunt a graveyard for like really good flowers that they could give um you know, like, and I think there was like a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode where he steals. He's like, I think I think he steals like, it's not from a graveyard, but it's like a wake or something. I can't remember, but he ends up stealing a bouquet of flowers to give to his girlfriend, and then the girlfriend finds out that it was stolen from like a wake, and I was like super offended. But anyhow, in my mind, I was like, what an interesting idea! Just like somebody like walking through a graveyard, like looking for the best bouquet of roses to give to somebody. And then I just kind of let the story evolve itself from there. So I was like, okay, well, what do? They write a love letter, and what's it written in? Okay, well, maybe it's written in some obscure language, like Sanskrit. And then I was realizing, like, well, okay, so he drops the letter off. How does the person who gets the letter respond? Well, they can't read Sanskrit, right? And so they just kind of throw it away. And then it's like, well, then what happens? So it was a story that was very much just like, well, then what happens? Well, then what happens? And it finally ended up, you know, being the bird kind of hunting for its long lost love, because the bird happens to be um, an Indian bird, and so in India they speak certain areas of India can speak Sanskrit. So I was like, okay, what kind of birds are around in India that would be in areas that would speak Sanskrit or write Sanskrit? And I found out it's pigeons. There's a certain, so I was like, a pigeon that speaks like can read Sanskrit, like falls in love and searches the skies. So it was definitely like one of those weird, again, kind of improv-y, yes and kind of things. Um, Nice. Dylan was saying if I was her, I would have Google lensed it. Nice. Okay. Now all I need to do is wrap this up. So we're gonna do our borders. I'm gonna do my panel borders real quick. Um, I just need to turn this off, and then we've actually finished our rough, which is cool. So I just have to do the panel borders. So let's clean those up. And then I really want to say I appreciate those of you who've hung out with me on here. If I look kind of disheveled and stuff like that, it's because I wanted to do this kind of first thing in the day, knock off one of the things I need to do early on. I thought it would be fun to stream while doing it. I appreciate you guys who support me, who are always showing up at Artcasters and you know, buying my comics and supporting my music and my weird creative habits, and hanging out with me. I'm very lucky to have such awesome people in my life, and supporting and just kind of hanging out when we're making stuff. And I love this community. So thank you guys for that. Um, let's get this knocked out. I will say, just shout outs to friends of mine. Kevin Cross is rocking some pretty amazing content, and not that he needs me to say it, but you should definitely go to his channel and make sure you're checking out his new stuff. He has some really inspirational videos where he's been doing like a Halloween challenge. And they're very, very well produced, excellent videos. Scott Circlin's been rocking it on YouTube, so make sure you're checking out Scott's stuff. Also, our Halloween episode is on his channel for where we had David Hartman on, and we're so lucky to have such a really just amazing creator like David on Artcasters. He always shows up on Halloween, and again, like, you know, if you want to talk about just somebody who's like an incredible artist, incredible cartoonist, incredible director, and graces us with his time, and it's always super fun to hang out with him because he's a good dude. Um, and that episode is amazing. We're also joined by Stan Lee's ghost, reincarnated Stan Lee, circa 1970s. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool to be able to kind of make creative things. I was yesterday. It was a friend of mine who has been recording us a lot. Like, he's a amazing musician. Actually, I should shout out their band. He's in a band called Default American, and they just completed one of their albums. And he's the guy we recorded our drum tracks at his house. His name's Robbie. He's a really nice guy. Um, and I went over to his house yesterday because it was like his birthday, just to kind of stop by with my buddy who I make music with, who also teaches art. And we were talking about like how weird it is that we all connect, but we were realizing one of the things that I think draws people like that together is the fact that we're creative and we're always making stuff. And there's a like as you get older, there's a very small amount of people who are interested in making art or music without any reason other than let's just make something great. That's it. That's the only goal. It's like it's not to become a rock star. It's not to sell a million books. Like nobody would be opposed to that, but it's like finding people who are creative and don't mind spending time like just to make something cool. That's it. Like we have no other objective than that. And I think those kind of people naturally kind of find each other. And I was realizing that about like the art casters as well, like guys like Gary um or Jim, and obviously Scott and Corey, all of us. It's like I feel like the thing that draws us together, the connecting thread between all of us, is that we're just kind of in love with making things with the goal of making the best thing you can. And it's not like that kind of comes first and then everything else kind of follows. So it's like and I think people like that, I think creatives like that, I don't think we have much of a choice. Like that's my opinion. I think you're gonna so anyhow, if you're watching this or whatever and you're not in a creative group yet, um I'm guessing that most of us are, right? We kind of have a creative community online. But I guess what I would say to like a younger me who was like, living in Long Beach, spending all nighters working on my first comic, turning down going out and hanging out with people to like make something creative and feeling very alone at the time. Because this is like before podcasts, before all that stuff. I would go back and tell that person to keep making stuff because makers find makers. Like it's like a specific tribe of people, and you're just naturally gonna be drawn to each other. It's kind of a cool thing, whether it's making music or making films or making something, because I think there's a lot of people who don't really make things, and they kind of find each other too, right? But yeah, I don't know. It's been an interesting ride, finding that. So anyhow, it's fun to be back to streaming. We're almost there. I'm just doing a cleaned up panel border, and then I will be calling it on the stream. If you haven't yet, definitely make sure you hit that like button. That helps a lot. If you haven't subscribed yet, consider subscribing. That helps a lot. And if you liked some of the music that you heard today, check it out on Spotify. Like add it to your playlists on Spotify or on any music streaming platform, and put it in your music rotation. Like put it on a playlist or something. Tell a friend about it. I've done 4 albums that I'm really proud of this year, and I plan on continuing. But it's always nice when you're making art and it's not for it's not a tree falling in the forest not making a sound. So I appreciate you guys even taking the time. You could be anywhere this Saturday. You could be anywhere in the world, and you guys chose to hang out with me on YouTube. So I really appreciate it. And all right, we're gonna call it. That's a panel. That's a good enough rough to send to a publisher. Wait, can you guys even see it? Yeah. So there's the finished work. We finished the page roughs. I'm gonna probably be working a little bit later. Oh, nice. Dylan said, I found you through subscribing to Scott, then watching Artcasters, and I'm regularly watching Jeremy, Gary, and Kevin. And of course, you three from Artcasters. Awesome. Thank you, Dylan. We appreciate your support. All right, dudes. I will see you on the next live stream. Thanks. And yeah, have a good one. Bye.